I just turned off all the noise.
Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
He has time. He's got him. Side touch is there. Leaping grab. Touchdown. Touchdown.
To perfection, expect nothing else. Do you like to make yourself a hot cup of coffee to start your day? We have both whole bean and grounded. Also great for all you iced coffee if not a hot kind of person. Even make yourself a frappe to quench your thirst. The best tasting coffee with espresso. It's only $18.99 plus taxes for a 12-ounce bag. Buy 1 to 5 bags and shipping is only $7. If you spend over $100, shipping is absolutely free.
Good morning. Hope you all got your cup of coffee this morning. See, there's always at least two. Look, we have a special guest. I'll introduce your first. Gay Valimont is on. She has her cup of coffee. Ken, as normal, cannot join the rest of humanity with coffee because, well, he's a Packers fan and not strong enough to take coffee.
Or that my blood pressure's through the roof. One of the two.
There's a thing called decaf.
That's right.
And by the way, and by the way, Ken, you know, Steve will do decaf upon request. He actually has one. He offers us decaf. So yeah, our sponsor there, you know, get a little coffee there. Some Bear 6 actual. I got some in the mug now. In fact, I'm making some cold brew today because I think I finally have room in my refrigerator. So with everyone being in the house, my refrigerator, and so now I think I've carved out some room. You know, we had the grandbaby's birthday, so all the extra drinks to put in there, so the fridge got overloaded. I've been dutifully working my way through it to create space so I can put a jug of iced coffee in there. I'm sad on that. The highlight of my day, I get to make a jug of iced coffee. But we've got some football stuff. Yeah, we have a little fun here in the morning, Gail. So people, Gail, why don't you introduce yourself really quick and let people know your background, and then so folks know we're going to be talking some brain injury today, concussion protocol, whatnot. But Gail, go ahead, and introduce yourself.
So my name is Gay Valimont, and I am. The reason I met Ken is we were online on Twitter, and I am running for Congress against Matt Gaetz. And he said, there's no way you can win, blah, 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 blah. And I said, cool, but I'm also an athletic trainer. Why don't I come on and talk about head injuries or whatever you want to talk about, because that's what I do for a living for real. So politics is one thing, and then sports is probably more fun to talk about. So let's do that.
Yeah, especially that's the one thing I was thinking about last night was, you know, with everything that goes on in this country politically, we don't care what side of the fence people are on. It's funny, football is just always is one of the common denominators. Sport,
it is
in general, is that common denominator, right? Like no matter how much we hate Iran, we'll play them in a World Cup match and everyone's happy. Right?
Right?
Sports is that common denominator. You know, the Olympics almost got away from it this time around. I think they kind of reeled it back in, luckily, and saved it. But yeah, sports is always that common denominator. You can go to a Bears game, and the guy next to you could be the deepest blue Democrat you've ever met in your life. The guy next to you could be the deepest red Republican, and they're both wearing Bears jerseys, and no one
exactly
cares. Beautiful thing about sports. And speaking of sports, we had a game last night, and Ken, I think I was right with the prediction there with the Niners winning and winning pretty handily.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say that they surprised me that they were able to win in that sort of fashion. Now, when we were talking about it was a toss up, and I went for the Seahawks because I figured that they'd have a little extra motivation losing to the Giants. But hey, the 49ers came out and handled their business.
And CMC, of course, being the topic, like with the Achilles. It's on both? It's on both his Achilles, the tendonitis.
Yep.
Yep.
Jesus.
And that is
And
so
they're
hard to get rid of. It is. It's like turf toe. It's so hard to get rid of because you don't. I mean, he can't wheel himself around in a wheelchair to let it heal, right? So he's still walking around, still aggravating it. They're probably doing PRP in his Achilles. That makes it that much more painful. Um, yeah, he's going to be out for a while.
so
Now,
Gil,
is this something he'll be able to recover from, or is this going to be a lingering injury for the rest of his career?
I mean, it's probably if it's bilateral, which means both of them. If
Mm-hmm.
it's both Achilles, then it's something that it's a chronic problem.
Okay.
so my question on that, Gail, though, like, how does one get to that point? Is it from wear and tear, or is it genetic, or is it both?
It's probably just the way he's built, and it's he's probably been working on it forever. And you think about your Achilles. So your Achilles tendon is a really strong tendon, but for some reason, when men get to a certain age, and you'll see this all the time, you probably have friends that went out and played softball and tore their Achilles that are about your age. It is something to do with the male makeup, the decrease in testosterone, which I know no man wants to talk about. But those can aggravate it. Like it's like Shaq, right? He suffered uh, from turf toe forever, and it eventually, sat him down. I think they're probably being very cautious with him, right? They're waiting to hold him back. He could probably play today.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably waiting to see, get later in the season so he can last longer. But it's probably going to be chronic the rest of his career.
Good morning, Rob. Get that contract. Got to keep you on the show. Good
morning, Rob.
Yeah, you'll notice, we let the comments flow on the side, so we get a lot of interaction. For folks watching on X, and there's always quite a few of you. In fact, most of you are on X again this morning. The commenting, you can make comments from X, and you just gotta open.
See, they don't tell you anything.
Click on it like for the video, and then there's a little drop down. You'll see it on the right. You can comments to the right, unlike the normal post. They will pop through. I've done it. Viking Mob has done it. But yeah, get involved in the show. We're talking today's emphasis is more on the sports injury side, because we are always just, I mean, look, here's what I know: sports injuries. I get hurt, I go see the doc, and luckily because of where we live, I go to the number one sports doc place in the NFL, right? That we've got now I'm brain farting. Andrews Institute, like literally right down from my house. So for those who don't know, the Andrews Institute, every player that goes to the NFL has been to the Andrews Institute. Every single one of them that gets drafted. At least
I know Dr. Andrews well. I worked with Dr. Andrews in my master's program at Troy State. And it's about a mile from my house.
Oh yeah, you're right down the street from me because I'm by the zoo. So
yeah,
so Andrews, in fact, my wife just had her knee surgery done there. When you walk into place, there's jerseys from all kinds of players that come down for torn ACLs, whatnot. But the NFL sends all their players here pre-draft, or the ones that, all of them that I think are going to draft come down here, not just like the top 50. They come down here. They do workout sessions with Andrews. They actually stay in the hotels at Pensacola Beach because it's the off season. They start getting here like mid-January after the bowl games and whatnot. They're down here basically from like January to about the draft. And they're working with Andrews. So everyone goes to Andrews, and a lot of them, if they get hurt when they're professional, they come back to Andrews for their care. So, that's like when my wife went to go get her tattoo here with Boneface. If you guys watch Ink Master, you know who Boneface is. she got a tattoo, and her tattoo buddy is Trey Lance. He was down here at
Ah,
Andrews doing pre-draft. So she's like, "Hey, Trey Lance is sitting next to me." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." No, I don't want anything signed. I should have, but I didn't. So yeah, like Aaron Rodgers is his own rehab. Kirk Cousins is his doctor rehab. Yeah. Good morning, Matt. Yeah, our guys get a little snarky too, Gay. Just so you know, there's some snark in the room usually.
I'm used to guys in sports. It's cool.
So Andrew's down here. We see a lot of it now. Is Andrews doing anything with the head trauma stuff now? Or they? I mean, I know we're like when it comes to knees and ankles and
Right.
elbows and shoulders, they're the go-to. But are
Yeah,
they doing more concussions and head injuries?
they are. And it's been a weird transition from sports medicine people to head trauma because we always, back in the day, you you have a concussion, you pull somebody out, you send them to a neurologist. Now in the NFL, they have neurologists on the sidelines because you don't want to go to a gynecologist for a broken arm, so you need a neurologist on the sidelines. And the way they've made it a lot easier in the NFL. So me being on the sideline, right? I see something happen. There's no way that I'm always watching away from the ball. You have to look for the signs of a concussion, the slow to get up, the stumble, the wobble, and that's why they have a spotter in the box now.
Mm-hmm.
Because athletic trainers don't always see it on the sidelines, don't always see somebody stumble or get up weird. So they have that spotter now that says pull number 56, pull them off to the side and evaluate him. Which is easier for us because what happened back in the day, and I say back in the day, like 10 years ago, we would pull somebody off because we thought they had wobbled or did something weird. So you go to the coach and you say, "Coach, I got to pull out your center or something." And they're like, "Oh shit, no, he's fine." Blah, 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 blah. And there's a lot of tension that way.
Mm-hmm.
So with the spotter and the neurologist on the sideline, it's made it easier. The NFL has gone over and beyond what we used to have. It makes it easier to prevent head injuries because what we're talking about with the CTE and stuff, it's not one hit. It's the multiple hits over years that you get that are causing the
So,
plaque in the brain.
so like with the spotter. So going back to week 5. Now that we're in week 6, week 5 specifically, 2 instances stick out that we talked about Monday. Right, one was Justin Fields. The
Mm-hmm.
spotter pulled him. But
Yep.
there's Justin having a full-on conversation with the official, right? Like
Right.
he's like, you could see he was fine. I mean, I could see it on TV.
Right.
So, and the head official's having a full-on conversation. Because I'm sure, hey, what's your name? Where are you? That the normal kind of
Yeah,
stuff
I
that we
saw
go
that.
through.
That was ridiculous. The official should have never been in that conversation. All the official's supposed to do is say, "You're off," and that was crazy. They have to fix that problem. You can't put the official in the middle of that.
Because they sat there. God, what was it? A good 45 seconds to a minute, and then they're like,
On
"Well,
the
we're gonna go
field.
run a play." Yeah, we're gonna go run a play, and the second he tries to run a play, they blow the whistle. No, but you gotta leave, and he's looking like, what do you, I mean, so
Yeah.
the spot with that one, and then comparatively, uh, Jaquan Brisker from the Bears is wanted for murder right now because he straight up murdered that receiver when he hit him. He legit knocked the guy out cold,
Yeah.
right? He knocks
Yep.
the guy out cold, and then nothing about it. And then Monday evening, there's Joe from Cali. Good morning, Joe. Um, they're getting on the airplane to go to London Monday night. Oh, he's not flying because he has concussion. And every Bears fan's like, what? Because there was
Yeah.
nothing. So how does that happen where Brisker destroys a guy, knocks him out, and they don't look at him at all?
Right.
And then Fields, who didn't really take a big hit, and is sitting there talking with referees and other people like, no wobble, no nothing. He gets pulled off for 2 plays, and Brisker, they completely miss.
Well, I mean, you see how quarterbacks are. You can't even hit them anymore, and it's a personal foul. They're gonna always the spotters are always going to protect the quarterbacks. If it looks like they took a hit to the head, they're going to do something about it. Now, the other instance, this is what happens with a concussion. Remember back in the day when they would say, okay, you need to monitor them, wake them up every hour on the hour, make sure your symptoms haven't changed, all that stuff. Because concussions are like, okay, so you slosh your brain from side to side, right? So your brain's sitting in all this water in your head, sloshes from one side, then hits the other side. So you have a bruise on this side, bruise on that side. What you have to watch for is the bleeding in the brain that continues after that. And if your symptoms get worse, then you have a concussion, right? So they should have pulled him off the field, no doubt. Obviously had a concussion, but probably his symptoms increased, got worse, headache, sensitivity to light. The biggest thing that you can, which has always been my determining factor on the field, is how emotional do they get? If you see a football player cry on the field, they have a concussion. And I don't know if you remember, like, was it last year Tua and his brain injury, and he just started boo-hooing on the field. That dude is in serious trouble. Tua.
Good morning, Broski, and a couple of others with the comments. Broski says, good morning. Goes, Ken Joe Rogan. Oh, Jesus. Bearded me and Ken. And lady friend is Gay Valimont. She's a sports medicine professional, also ran for Congress in the 1st Congressional District of Florida, where I happen to live. So we brought her on non-politically today. We're talking football because that's what we do here. And that's what she loves to talk about, too. And yes, those are Peyton Manning jerseys up behind her.
They are.
Yeah, there we go. Look at Triple Vowels fan. She's a Manning fan. Can't hold that against her because
Packers suck.
he gave the best quote ever. But
I love to watch the Packers this year, though. It's fun to watch the Packers. They're so young, and the whole team it's like watching college football.
Yeah, they're definitely quite exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Broski, it's not that Brisker's hit was dirty, though. The thing we were talking about with Brisker, though, was he straight up knocked the dude out, right? They even look at him for any kind of head trauma like himself. And so then when we found out Monday night he wasn't flying to London for a concussion, we were all like, what concussion?
Yeah.
Because he played the rest of the game. They even look at it, and that's what we were talking about, Brisker.
Yeah.
Well,
no player is going to come to you, and I've learned this over the year. There's not a player that's going to come to you and go, oh, I have a concussion. I need to come off the field, which is what he should have done. He didn't. If somebody didn't see it.
Tua could. I mean, he had, like you were talking about the wobbling. And, I mean, that was like, was that last year or the year? I think it was the year before.
That was last year, I think.
No, it was the year before. Last year, he was clean. He didn't get anything last year, which shocked us. He made the whole season. It was the year before with the wobbling, and that's what started forever in the NFL. Like, hey, they're going to kill this guy. And yet, here we got Tua again. He gets a concussion. They put him on the 4-week IR. We all said, dude needs to retire.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So, what are his risks? Like, if he comes in back in, I think he's eligible in 2 more weeks to come back. Let's say he comes back in a couple weeks and just gets hammered again. Like, what risk is Tua looking at with his, proclivity for concussions?
Well, Tua's concussions are different. I mean, you saw the wobbling the last year, the crying, or 2 years ago, the crying, all that stuff. This last concussion, I don't know if you saw, but he lifted his arm up in the air like this, which is a sign that concussion is super bad. Like the medical professionals will tell him how bad it is. Not like he doesn't know. And they will tell him you have a risk of having CTE, which is so far off the, athletes don't think about that. But you think about, who was the football player? The San Diego,
Junior Seau.
Junior Seau. When they cut his brain open, they found, and it's the plaque in the brain, right? So it mimics Alzheimer's. So what he's looking at in his 40s is irritability, not being able to sleep, um, anger, depression. You've seen these people kill themselves over and over again because now they're living with a brain that has plaque in it. And it is the exact same symptoms as you would see in Alzheimer's. And he's looking at it, he's doing it to himself, and he's looking at having these symptoms in his 40s.
I'm trying to think of who it was from the '85 Bears who committed suicide. Um, who was it now? God, the name's escaping me. '85 Bears, he committed suicide, I want to say about 3-4 years ago. And he committed suicide in such a way as to preserve his brain and put in
Yep.
his suicide note, please have them look at my brain.
Yep.
Who was it from the '85 Bears? God,
Shot himself in the
Broski.
chest. So he didn't,
Yeah.
so it preserved his
That was-
brain.
Broski
That was
might
Junior
remember.
Seau who shot himself
What?
in the chest.
Yeah, it was Junior
Yeah,
Seau.
no, it was an '85 Bear though, defensive player, used to lay out massive hits on people too. I'm trying to think who it was, but that was like before Seau even.
Yeah.
He did it before Seau, and like for my background, CTE, head trauma, TBIs became more of a thing, especially during the OIF time period. Also, we started hearing about TBIs and taking that seriously on the battlefield because for us, it was like, oh, we just got your head, your bell rung, push on. Now, I mean, it came far where the VA and just the military in general takes TBI a lot more serious because they started to understand CTE. So, us military folks, when the NFL started talking about it, we had a different appreciation for it, right? Because, like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we know about this. Especially after taking IEDs and everything else that we do. Like, you don't even have to get hit directly from the IED to have a TBI because concussion waves and everything else.
Slashes
But-
your brain from side to side, and your
Yeah.
body never has to move.
Dave Dewerson, that's who it was. Thank you, broski. Yeah, Dave Dewerson committed suicide and left a note, please study my brain. And that was before Junior Seau, and I think that was the first warning shot in the
Yeah.
NFL. And now as we go on and we look at other sports too, because I watched the series on Netflix the other day. I was a good doc on Vince McMahon, and they were talking about the Canadian Ripper, wrestler who killed himself, his wife, and his child. And
Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit. And they said with
Mhm.
Benoit, there was massive amounts of CTE.
Yep.
So that could be Tua. Is what we're
Yeah.
I guess what we could be saying. That could be Tua.
And the
No.
problem is you don't know until you cut the brain open. I mean, there's no way to know how much plaque has built up in the brain until after you die. And they have to literally slice your brain in half to see how much plaque you have.
Oh, JB
So all you
is
can do is prevent it. Try to.
JB in the comments needs us to go late today. It's an important thing going on and can't go live. Okay, I guess we can go extended bonus time today. I mean, we'll probably we're cruising right along. So yeah, if you want to stick, we usually do an hour, but we can go for longer today. If everyone can stick. JB's our resident Lions fan who's got a show on after us, and of course, this man, if you ask him of a rule or stat, he pops it right up.
Fantastic.
He could probably tell you how many concussions every player in the league has had. But going back to Tua though, with what he's gonna have later in life, and we just saw another guy who lives close to us, right, in Mississippi.
Yep.
Brett Favre came out. What's he got? What does he have? Is it Huntington's?
Parkinson's.
Or Parkinson's.
He's developed Parkinson's.
And someone was saying, I thought I saw it was a report I was watching saying that his Parkinson's is kind of some of it. He has it now because of football. I guess
Yep.
what they were trying to say, because of all the concussions he took in the head trauma, that could accelerate him actually, because you probably would have gotten it was genetically, is what they're saying. But the head trauma accelerated.
Right. You can get Parkinson's. It can be familial, meaning it could be genetic. But yeah, the repeated head trauma, just the little dings, the little dings over and over again, through his. How long did he play? 30 years, forever. I mean, yeah, seems like Brett Favre was born there, but yeah,
He
he
came in the league, what, 94,
yeah
95?
90? No,
yeah
no. He was drafted
by
in
the Falcons.
91 by Atlanta.
Hmm.
Drafted
And
by the Falcons, and we just handed him over to the Packers.
thanks for that. he
Yeah,
saved our franchise. So great.
where is Dom this morning, our resident Falcons fan?
I'll shoot him a message.
Working. Yeah. He's got a fellow Falcons fan on this morning. He's not even here
Right?
to enjoy it. We never get two people for the Falcons at once. They're like a myth. They're like a myth. One shows up, the other has to be gone.
Oh yeah, 1991. That's when he came into the league.
Because I know he's only a couple years older than me. So, okay, yeah, but I know he's he back then concussions. They played through concussions. It was like, oh, you just got your bell rung. Get back in there, kid.
Yep.
That's what we used to call it, getting your bell rung. And how many games did he play where he probably in today's NFL would have been sacked? Probably.
Oh yeah, and that was when they let quarterbacks get hit.
No. Some of the hits I seen that poor guy take, I'm not surprised he's got the health issues that he does. Because some of those, you're surprised that he was just able to stand up.
Yeah.
And then he'd go lead a drive and they'd win the game. Like, what the heck? We're gonna do the guy off. I mean, but it makes me wonder, like, especially on defensive players like your middle linebackers, your guys like Urlacher, Butkus, Ray Lewis, like guys who hit people for a living. Like, it's surprising we don't see the concussions we see are usually receivers, quarterbacks, running backs. Very, now we're starting to see corners, obviously, because Brisker got dinged for it this week, or not that he got dinged like it was a penalty, but I guess now they're starting to look at the defensive players more now, which actually, if you think about it, makes the most sense. These are the guys hitting people, like they're paid to hit
at the line. Those are. Have you noticed that the centers now have a different helmet? Like the helmet comes out further over their dome right here.
George Kittle wears that, the same helmet. The lineman, it's a helmet designed for linemen. When Kittle's been wearing that helmet now, and he had a hell of a game last night. Kittle's been wearing that helmet for, I want to say 3-4 years now, and people are like, "What the hell is this helmet?" When the linemen wore it, no one's like, "What?" They didn't even look. That should tell you how much people pay attention to the linemen. Kittle wears this helmet. They're all like, "What the hell is this weird thing Kittle's wearing?" And they explain it's designed for linemen to take the hits more.
They go straight in.
And he's like one of the only non-linemen who wears it. And then there's Patrick Mahomes' helmet, which, by the way, if you ever try to buy one of those, you can't. But if you would try, the company that makes them, it's not made by Riddell or Schutt, who make the F7, which you see players wear, and the Speed Flex, which you see the players wear. The helmet that Mahomes wears, Carr wears it. There are a couple guys who wear that helmet. You see all the little dots up front. It's like X something representing the brand. If you went to their website to buy one, you couldn't. Those things cost north of $1,400. Those are really supposed to be really, really good head protection. So I don't know why, like Riddell Speed Flex, which is an improvement over the old Pro Line helmet like that Urlacher and those guys wore and Favre wore. But the helmet technology's changed.
Yeah. Well, that was one, what we did is, in sports medicine is we looked at how do we stop the brain from sloshing inside of your head when you're playing football. And so the things that you can do, better helmet technology, still not going to stop your brain from sloshing inside the water, inside your brain. Mouth guard, a serious mouth guard helps the brain from sloshing. But the biggest thing that you can do to prevent your brain from sloshing around in your skull is neck strength, so that you can brace yourself and you get a little slosh. But if you don't have neck strength and you're doing this, then you're getting a much bigger slosh inside your brain. Does that make sense when I say that?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. In boxing, they'd sit there and they talk about the neck being the shock absorber for the
Right.
guy's head. That,
Mhm.
that he can sit there and eat a lot of punches because he's got a neck like a freaking tree trunk.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Not a boxer, but a big neck.
But
Uh,
none of those things are going to prevent concussions. The biggest
What
thing we can
about
do to prevent.
well, what about that? Well, what they call that thing?
the Guardian cap.
The Guardian cap. How does that?
Oh, the
Is
practice,
that?
what they're using in practice.
Well, I guess
So
they let the rookies. I've seen it in a game already this year. I think they're only letting the rookies do it though, where the rookies can wear the Guardian cap and they have a cover with the
Yeah,
team
they're
logo.
letting anybody wear it if they want to, but a lot of players are choosing not to.
yeah, because of the way it looks.
Yeah, yeah. It
But
definitely
You're
looks a
going to
little
be an
funny.
idiot when you're old, but it's fine. You look good now.
I mean, how much extra?
Leave me alone. I want to drool in my pudding.
Yeah.
How much extra protection does that Guardian cap give the player?
I mean, I don't think it's significant. But I think it's a piece in what you can do to prevent, but still, again, your brain is in water in a skull. It's gonna slosh. There's little you can do to prevent it, and you see it in other sports, like the repeated headers in soccer. Soccer falling down, hitting their head on the turf all the time, but they flop a lot. We do know that it's more significant in football because of the collision trauma. That's why they stopped doing, my favorite part of football is, the punt and returning a ball or the kickoff. And now it's such a joke, but it's going to help because you don't get the 50 yards to run as fast as you can into another body while they're running as fast as they can in a collision. So that's why you have like that 20 yards to, it might as well be touch football, but it's going to save lives.
You know what's interesting though with the dynamic kickoff? I think that's what they're trying to call it, even though I don't know what's dynamic about it. Last year, when they looked at the numbers for kickoffs, the return rate was super, super low. So you could almost ask yourself, what was the reason? Well, the 50-yard run-up wasn't the reason because there was, I think the return rate was like under 15%. So almost everything was a touchback anyway. Now the return rate almost at 30%, right? With this, but now you don't get the 50-yard run-up. I don't know. I kind of like the dynamic kickoff now because we are getting more returns. And if the added benefit is now we have less serious injury from the 50-yard cannon, then I guess maybe the NFL did a good thing. But as fans, we're always resistant to change because it's in our DNA to be resistant to change. When I was teaching leadership for the military, for the Army, we actually had a block of instruction labeled resistance to change because whenever a commander goes to a unit and tries to institute new policy, there's always a rebellion from the senior NCOs. And it's like, it's just, even if it's a good thing, we just have a resistance to change. So this kickoff rule, I think, has been a good thing because less injury, but now we're actually getting more kickoff returns.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing certain teams and they still try to put through the uprights, like Baltimore with their kickoff.
Right.
But it is interesting how the NFL is trying to mitigate injuries. And we complain they're making a flag because if you look at Patrick Mahomes, it's a flag.
I'm sick of looking at Patrick Mahomes.
But you can send Justin Fields in the next month and won't catch a flag.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a part of constant. I mean, the fact that Caleb Williams got a roughing the passer flag last week, Bears fans were like, "Oh my God, what is this? We're not used to seeing this." He does. Yeah, I know. You breathe on him. It's interesting. Hey, Broski, soccer players weigh more than 150 pounds, but there's a lot of PBI. People give soccer stuff like Broski, but they don't understand. I would almost argue with you, Broski, that injury-wise, just as many, if not more, than football. A lot of ACLs, a lot of brain injuries that go unchecked because you don't think of it like the NFL where you're trying to do this. But this happens a lot. on the soccer
Mm-hmm.
pitch.
Yeah.
And then you've got Zidane, who just decides he's going to headbutt a guy's chest in the World Cup final. So I mean, they flop. I know Gay said, well, they flop because they're always trying to draw the penalty. No one's worse than Neymar, the flop king. But look how many surgeries that dude's had from his legs. You know, I mean, there's a lot of traumatic brain injuries that happen in soccer, and people don't even realize it. Even just heading a soccer ball, people think, oh, you're heading a ball. You
Over
ever
and
play
over and over
soccer?
again.
Yeah, and you ever play, and you got to figure sometimes that ball is coming in at a high rate of speed, and not only are you hitting the ball with your head, someone's probably put an elbow to the back of your head,
Yep.
trying to defend you. And oh, by the way, if it's cold out, that ball is hard as a rock.
Yeah, it is.
Play
This is
soccer
true.
in 40-degree weather. Play soccer in 40-degree weather. I used to hate it. Like, grew up in Chicago, we're playing the fall, and you got a game. It's 30 degrees out, and you're out there in shorts and a long sleeve shirt. It's like we had long sleeve shirts for those games. And you don't even want to kick the ball because it's like you're kicking a brick.
Yeah, I don't even understand anybody playing outdoor sports when it's that cold. Or just stay inside.
When you grow up north, that's all you can do.
I know. I'm a
our
Southern
weather.
girl, so if it's snowing outside, something's wrong. The world is coming to an end.
I grew up in New York. I pretty much got ice running through my veins.
Well, Gay will remember this one. Remember about, I think it was 2000, winter 17-18 winter. We had snow twice here. And once was at 3 o'clock in the morning. My wife and my son woke up to see the snow.
Yeah.
My wife's from Florida. Well, my son's lived his whole life in Florida. So they're like, oh my God, now my son is seeing snow because he's gone up to Chicago and stuff. But yeah, they woke up to see it because it's such a rare occurrence down here.
Right? It's very rare.
Yeah, we should have.
It freezes like twice a year here. All the plants die and we start over. And it's back up to 80s and sunny.
We survived. I survived winter, insert single date here and year. Yeah, that's us down here. So Tua, though, going back to Tua, because I know he always comes up. I don't know. Matt asked if Tua's going to wear the Guardian cap, but I mean, if Tua,
I don't
back,
think they could wrap his head in bubble wrap. It's not going to help. The damage is done to Tua. I mean, he is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Gay, please meet Dom. Dom, meet Gay. You're Falcon fans.
Dom, go Birds!
Yeah,
Let's go Birds.
Especially after this week. They showing up.
They are Dirty Birds.
I think we're going on a winning streak this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my brother.
When we went to Philly, what up? We beat Philly in Philly.
I'm super excited. I told him he's still mad at us till this day. I hear it every day. You guys got lucky. I'm just like, it's not luck. It's called skills, buddy. Don't go for every fourth down.
Exactly.
Analytics aren't always right.
Bijan's we got to get the running game going. So take it off of Kirk Cousins, but I am pleased with our receivers. I just right.
I'm really excited. Tyler Algier, he's picking up the low for Bijan though. I've noticed when Bijan can't do it, you got Algier just running and bucking everybody.
Yeah.
We got the 1-2 punch, the thunder and lightning. I love it.
I know. I'm surprised Kirk Cousins has fit in that quickly, but I'm knocking on wood. Go Birds.
Yeah. I don't want to jinx nobody.
Speaking of Kirk Cousins, and because JB can't say it, the Falcons, as JB likes to say, I'll say Falcons. But we look at Kirk; he's not planting with that injury he had last year, and Rodgers had the same injury. And we notice with Rodgers is not planning. If you look at that, especially that last interception, that was him just not planning. So coming back from that injury, how long does it take those guys to get back to where they can trust that ankle again, that tendon again? And with Rodgers, I mean, it looks like the one calf is half the size of the other.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
How hard is that injury for these guys to get back to where they can trust their plant legs again?
Well, the strength of the tendon is there, but I don't know if you've ever heard what it's like when you tear your Achilles. It feels like somebody has hit you in the back of the leg with a bat. That's what it feels like. That's how you know somebody has torn their Achilles, and they say, I looked behind me, I thought somebody hit me. So it completely snaps. And the fibers tear, right? So they have to weave the fibers back together like that. It's very strong after the Achilles is not going to tear. What the problem is the rehab, getting the strength back in your calf and the range of motion, right? So they've shortened your Achilles so that it is stronger because you've torn it. So you don't have the whole flexibility of the ankle that you used to have. Therefore, you don't have the ability to build that calf up like it's supposed to. But most of the time with people that have an Achilles tear, it's just the PTSD of the actual event that does not make them plant. And you have to stay on them. You got to plant, you got to turn, you got to use your calf. But yeah, that's the biggest problem. The Achilles is fine. The calf is not as strong as it used to be. So if that's your push off, when you're pushing off, you're not going to have the acceleration you had. The strength is there. He just has to use it. It takes, I think that last year it was surprising how quick Rodgers came back out on the field. Like he wasn't playing, but he was out of his boot and he looked fine. Walking around, he would be fine in 3 months. But that's not it's an injury that if it's happened on one, it's most likely going to happen on the other. It's just a thing that happens to dudes in their that age.
And what's interesting about Cousins was much later in the season, so they both came back for week 1. Mm-hmm. Cousins looked better. He looks better via post-injury than Rodgers does. So Rodgers had more time for recovery by about 2.5 months. But Cousins doesn't have the one calf half the size of the other. He's planting a lot. When you look at the plant, they were he's not planting. But if you compare him to Rodgers, he's planting. Rodgers is like dangling his foot in the air almost. I mean, Rodgers must have some severe PTSD on his Achilles compared to Cousins.
Yeah.
What I wonder too is if it has to do with the approach they took for repairing it, because Rodgers had supposedly taken some experimental type of surgery and recovery versus Kirk doing the traditional one, and at least to a layman without barely any medical experience, that seems like it might be part of the issue.
Right. Well, the procedure that Aaron Rodgers had done is like the latest and greatest that there is to offer, but they don't know the outcomes. It's supposed to be. And I have a friend that just tore his Achilles. I went with him to the doctor to make sure to Andrews, and there is that procedure. And they told us you don't want to do that procedure if you're not going to play professional football. There's a lot of hardware in there now. I'm not entirely sure it has anything to do with the procedure. He feels good. And if you think about Aaron Rodgers and the way he plays and the way Kirk Cousins plays, completely different. Aaron Rodgers I can't even, unless he's bombing downfield, you never see Kirk. I mean, you've never seen him you don't see him push off he throws from here. You know how Aaron Rodgers does. But his game, a lot of it is his mobility and being able to run. Kirk Cousins ain't running nowhere.
Nope.
But Aaron Rodgers is a runner. Oh no! Hold on. My bulldog's barking.
Sorry, Ken Bowers is on, and Ken, even though your son is not on, we have to say that all comments and everything he says is not the representative of his son. There we go, JV. I screwed it all up. JV has the whole thing with his dad.
Oh, massively.
Yeah, I know we screwed up. But
that was a full botch.
Yeah, that was a full
hey
botch.
there, fucking dad.
Yeah. I'm sure JV put in the comments. Rodgers is his own. He does. Joe. I'll say this about Rodgers. I'll say this about Rodgers though. Like when he had COVID, the dude spent when COVID was happening, and the shots were out, and not to get into the whole politics of the shots, but When the shots came out, Rogers was like, well, great. There's 2 of them I can't take because I'm allergic. And the one he could take was Johnson & Johnson. And oh, by the way, we're pulling it because it's creating blood thinning or blood clotting issues, whatever.
Yep.
Rogers spent $500,000 to have studies done, right, for medical professionals and do studies and produce like this massive report that he produced to the NFL, gave to the CDC, and a bunch of people. So Rogers, he puts his money where his mouth is when it comes to the medical side. Yeah, we all know he's a little strange with darkness retreats and some of the other crap. But you know what, though? I'll be honest. For all the crap we give Rogers, the dude puts his money where his mouth is. He spent $500,000 of his own money to research COVID because he goes, I can't take this shot. This is becoming an issue with my profession because everyone's mandating this. I can't do it because I'm allergic to these ones. This one they're pulling off because of blood issues. Let me find out what I can do, and found alternative medicine. So for all the crap we give Rod, and he is a weird dude, no doubt about it, right?
It's a weird dude.
But he puts his money out there to find out. It's not like he's just smoking the peace pipe and it came to me in a vision. Maybe he does some of that, but then he puts his money behind it. So whatever Rogers did, you know that dude researched. Rogers didn't say, I'm just going to take this cutting edge thing. He put money into it to find out.
Oh yeah,
He has the money to spend.
Yeah,
that's the thing about Rogers. It might be really crazy and out there, but he at least researches it, and you might not agree with it, but you can follow the thought trail and say, okay, this is how you got here at least. Not, what in the hell are you talking about type of shit.
Right.
I mean, like Tua might be listening to the Dolphins in South Beach right now with coming back to play. He's listening to the Dolphins right now. He's going to come back. Because I mean, all of us are just looking at him going, dude, like, you got to, I mean, like, if he walks away, he's still making just under $100 million to walk away. That's a nice parting gift. And you still have the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So,
go into coaching or something like that. You know, you've made your money, and I understand wanting to play and stuff, but and this is the problem with NFL players, right? When you're an athletic trainer, you work for the team, the doctor works for the team, the neurologist works for the team, and then they have an outside neurologist that works for the NFL. He'll get lots of good information from the doctors that are around him, and they want to make the best decision, but they also have a stake in him playing. So what NFL players do is they have a shit ton of money and they go out and find a doctor that will tell them, you're fine to play, go ahead and play, makes them feel better, that's not associated with the team. And at the NFL level, you have to, when it gets to where Tua is right now, the decision has to be made between his doctor and him. So if Tua comes back and says, I'm cleared from this concussion, I feel like I can play, they have just a ton of money invested in this kid. They're probably going to go, okay. If you believe you can
with a guy like Tua, they should send to Andrews. I'm sure Andrews has, because the NFL obviously trusts Andrews, right? And they say, you know what, the Andrews Institute will be our arbiter of truth in this case, because they don't have a stake in the game. Their allegiance is to the league, not a team. So therefore, they don't care what team you're playing for. We charge them with making sure our players are good. They should, I mean, I get how they have the guy in the sky in the booth who pull them off. Yeah. And they got the guys on the sideline, and they've got, I mean, they're not flying. And I was saying this the other day, like, you go to, let's say, the game in London, they'll have the two doctors, one on each side. One's from Chicago, one's from Jacksonville. They came with the team. They flew with the team. In reality, one of those doctors should probably be from Knoxville, and the other one should be from Austin. They should be from two places where they have no skin in the game, have no affiliation to the team. But the NFL hasn't changed that. That part.
Well, that's that independent neurologist. Like, the team will have a neurologist with them, but every game there's an independent neurologist that has to check whoever they pull off the field. That way, it's supposed to be not based on their need to play.
So they have is that independent neurologist? Is that the guy in the box, or is he on the field?
He is down on the field, but not associated.
So-
The guy in the box
he's
is
going
an
from
athletic
side-
trainer like me that just finds the symptoms, the visual symptoms on the field, and pulls them off.
So he's going from side to side. So he can go from sideline to sideline. Then he's going for both teams. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And when you talk about the concussion protocol, just real quick, there's no timeline on the concussion protocol, right? There are like 5 milestones you have to meet. So for Tua, who has had repeated concussions, he probably already has memory loss, which is a thing, which is part of getting past this, passing this concussion thing, right? If he doesn't pass those things, they can say, we can't technically put you on the field. But he could pass the tests, right? It may take him a little longer for his brain to heal this time. He may get to a point where he can pass this test, and it may be in 3 weeks. It may not be for a year. But you can never tell with an athlete how long it's going to take. But I do know that with repeated concussions, particularly the kind that he's had, it's going to take him a long time to be able to just to pass those milestones. I mean, I wouldn't count on him for the rest of the season. And he needs to retire.
and like he played last season clean, as in no concussions last year. So I could see it. When we have a look at last year, I was concussion free. I just had the one this year. I don't think he understands, and fans don't understand. It's not like you sprain an ankle and you don't sprain an ankle for a while, and you're okay. Because you sprain an ankle, it's not like it builds. Like I sprained it this year, it heals. Right. It's not like I'm susceptible to the sprain again. This is different. You are susceptible now. It's one of those injuries, like you become more susceptible and it becomes easier to get it. It's one of those things like I'm trying to think of something I can compare it to people. It's something that happens to all of us. Like you're just more susceptible to it. Like you could almost breathe on Tua in a concussion. That's where he's getting to. That's the point he's at. Like if someone does a Gibbs throw, if someone smacks him on the back of the head, like Leroy Jethro Gibbs on NCIS, concussion. That's where he's at right now. Yeah. That's where he's at, and I don't understand. And I just don't understand why. It doesn't make sense, man. Just retire and take your $85 million and go enjoy life in Hawaii.
That's what I would.
He's got that urge to play. That's what it is.
Yeah,
it's like she was saying. That's athletes, and they can't be told no.
Yep.
Until it's too late, I feel like, and that's the problem.
Well, I mean, it's like it's different but similar. Athletes and their money. Every year, the NFL has symposiums with all the incoming, rookies. Hey, my name is Warren Sapp. I used to be a multimillionaire. I was broke as a joke. The only reason I have money now is because I got a contract to broadcast. I've made, X amount of millions of dollars in playing football. You guys, I had $100 million in the bank account. I am now dead broke, and here's why. And they tell these rookies that, right? And the rookies, they said the average football player is dead ass broke 3 years after leaving the NFL.
Yep.
And people are like, why are NFL players homeless? They make all this money because they spend it. So then NFL has a program where they bring in Barry Sanders, who, by the way, was broke as a joke after he got a couple years after he got out. Right? They brought in guys like Warren Sapp, who was broke as a joke, and the players still make the same mistakes. So when you look at TBI, thank you, Philip. Yes, all Bears fans have a TBI. But if you look at now brain injury, that's the next thing for these athletes, and they're like, because the money thing now has become different because these kids are making the money in college. So Caleb Williams comes in, he's had 2 years of managing big money and understands it more because the college game, believe it or not, teaches them better than the NFL game did about how not to spend the money. Now they got to educate these kids, I think, starting at high school on brain injury. In the state of Florida, there's concussion.
Well, they're learning through NIL.
Yeah, NIL's teaching them on the money aspect. Because I think universities, though, like really give them better instruction on money because as a student, maybe they're more receptive to it. I don't know, but we'll see how that plays out.
You think about like these running backs that come into the league and they're lights out. the best thing that's ever happened to the team. They're good for 3 years because they continue to take pound and pound and pound and torn ACLs and arthritis and all that stuff. And soon they're replaced. They're making this big money. I think it's average that a running back is going to be in the NFL for 6 years. And then they make all that money, but they have no other plans after football because that's all these athletes have ever done. Who was the quarterback for? He was supposed to be awesome, number 1 pick, came out of, played for the Colts, and then just ended his career and walked out. Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck.
Yeah, Andrew Luck.
He played what, 7, 8 years, and all of a sudden on retiring, I think it was. They never really said, but I think it was concussion related.
Yeah,
that's why he retired.
It was.
Honestly.
It was concussion related because that
wasn't he
kid
the most stacked QB, right?
Huh?
Yeah, he
wasn't he the most stacked QB like consecutively for like 7 years?
Yeah,
he was always up on that list. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler, the first 2 years in Chicago, was sacked every other play. It felt like.
God, I hadn't thought about Jay Cutler in forever.
It's okay. Most of the league hasn't.
Hey, Jay's down in our area, right? No, seriously.
Is he really?
He's got a place over.
I had no idea.
I think he's near PCB. He bought I used to work in a certain Harley dealership I won't mention, but he bought his Road Glide from them.
I gotta get going.
Really?
All right, later down. Yeah.
See you guys. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Go Birds.
Go Birds. Woo!
Woo!
But Jay's down here now, but Jay used to get hit a lot. And then remember, that was back, you have to think Andrew Luck, Jay Cutler, those guys, they were wearing the old Pro Line. Those old Pro Line helmets. Any of you that collect sportsmen, I mean, if you have an authentic helmet from that era, a Pro Line, look inside. That's what they wore on the field. They didn't have the bladders. It was just those rubber pads. That was it. Now, if you look at the inside of an F7 or a Speed Flex, they've got the air bladders. They've got all this other technology in the way the helmet itself is even constructed. I mean, could you imagine Andrew Luck? I mean, he was smart. He took the money and he ran. And he's probably still got the money because he was smart enough to retire. He probably invested his money wisely. Running backs, I think most of them don't make it to a second contract in the NFL. I think it's actually 4 years is the life expectancy of it. Yeah, somewhere around there. The good ones will get a second contract. Your Saquons, your Zekes, your David Montgomerys, Matt Fortes, Aaron Jones kind of guys. But look how fast. Like, remember LaDainian Tomlinson? He sets the NFL record for touchdowns. 2 years later, completely out of the league. And it's amazing how quickly running backs they're gone.
Yeah, and they don't plan for it. Yeah, he went to Stanford. They don't plan for that to happen. I mean, they grew up playing football. That's all they know how to do. They knew they were going to go to the NFL. They were the best they were at their colleges. They go to the NFL, wreck their bodies, and then their money's gone because they didn't plan ahead. And you try to do that when you work with college athletes. Like, do you have a plan B? Do you have a plan B? What can you do outside of this? They don't, because if you don't say that to them, they don't think about it. That's their job. That's what they're going to do forever.
Hey, Philip, if you're ever down in the Pensacola area, that's where I'm at. Actually, Gay's right down the road from me, actually.
Yeah.
We're all down here. And there's a Bears bar in Pensacola, by the way. I just found it a couple weeks ago. They get a couple hundred people per Bears game. We get that down here. There's a Packers bar down here. There's a Lions bar down here. We get a lot of Midwest influence here. In our
there
area.
is. Come down and visit. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
y'all, I got to get out of here. I got to go kiss babies and shake hands.
Gay, if you ever want to come back, love to have you back. Anytime you want to come on.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to come on regularly, you can too. We're always looking for people. I mean, obviously, we love to talk football. It's great that when we have the injuries, actually have someone who knows what the hell they're talking about. Because there's Ken and I going, well, we think based off our,
Yeah.
The only type of medical experience I have is my old man was a doctor before he retired. That's as close as I got.
Well,
so,
that's pretty
so I'm
good.
just kind of passively absorbing some things.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know medical terminology.
Yeah. I have an idea what you're talking about. I just can't go past that.
Yeah, if y'all ever have any questions, let me know. You have my information. Y'all keep it up. I love to talk sports, and go Birds.
There you
There
go.
you go, Gay. I'll talk, and
That's some great
I'll
news.
hit you up on X too. We'll talk for sure.
All right, I appreciate it,
All
y'all. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, we'll see ya.
That was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. Hey, I
Well-
like deep diving into the medical stuff of it.
Yeah, I mean, because we talk about it as fans, and and she's like, well, and it's funny because some of the stuff we're saying is not far off. Some of the stuff, though, like we couldn't have been more wrong.
Oh,
If you paid us
yeah.
to be more wrong.
That's the great part about us being laymen's is that we can just throw random shots out there, and if we're wrong, nobody's going to give a shit.
Well, because like everyone else, like we're just watching on TV and we're going off of what the announcers say, what we see off the broadcasts, and she actually knows. Like when she was talking about the Achilles injury and like the difference between what Rogers did and Kirk did, so they, the different procedures. So, Rogers actually got the newest, greatest, supposed to be make you bigger, better, stronger, bionic man surgery. And Kirk didn't, and she's like, but they can't. Outcomes are, and that's something we forget. The outcome for patients always different. But what she said about CMC early was interesting. Like he might,
because that's what I was wondering about. Because I've heard of your average person getting tendonitis, and it usually lingers for a long while. And I was just wondering that, with all the advanced medicine that they have for these NFL teams and that, maybe he'll be able to get through it. But she confirmed what I thought, that he's pretty much going to be battling this his whole career.
Oh, career, yeah. That's so if you're a Niners fan, or more to the point, if you're like Rob and a fantasy fan, because Rob equates everything to his fantasy team, you might not want to draft CMC.
Yeah. I wish I didn't. I drafted him in one of my leagues.
Running backs are hard in leagues anyways, because like we were just talking, their life expectancy is so short, and it's so hard to tell when they're going to be gone. Like guys like David Montgomery or Matt Forte, I think Montgomery and Forte are so very similar. Those guys can make 10-year careers and be solid performers for 10 years and get out relatively injury-free. And then you got guys like Saquon and CMC who are the opposite, and they're great performers when they're in, or Aaron Jones. But their life expectancy is so much shorter than a guy like Montgomery. You're looking at Forte or before the other Jones that, Thomas Jones we had for the Bears. Those guys had long careers as running backs, but they were just the way they played was different. Their injuries weren't as traumatic, I guess. But really interesting. We're talking about the concussion stuff, and I still don't get why Tua. Like even she's like, I don't get why Tua was playing. I mean, just stop playing, dude. Like,
it's too much of that's what his identity is in his mind. I'm a football player, and that's it. And I don't think he. And again, this is me just spitballing. I don't think he would know how to function in normal life without that being a major part of his life.
Well, and it's not just that, though. It's also like they're in this community, right? They're in this small community of players, and that lifestyle that is not the financial piece of it, the everything else part of that lifestyle, and being in that community. I think that's kind of hard to walk away from too.
Mm-hmm.
And guys like Andrew Luck did it, Megatron did it. Some guys do it. Luke Kuechly did it. Right,
Yep.
Walked away. It's
but he had a problem with concussions too, if I remember correctly.
It's just hard though to leave that brotherhood, that community. It's like when we retire from the military, sometimes it's like, guys don't want to turn that packet in sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to turn the packet in. Trust me, like getting paid just to wake up in the morning, but you don't want to leave. You're fed up with the Army, the Marine Corps, whatever you're in, for a certain level, the bureaucracy of it, whatever. But in a
Mhm.
way, you also don't want to leave because you love what you do, because you love going to the range and firing pew-pews and or tanks or whatever it is you do. Or guys like when they're tankers and have to reclass because of bad knees or something, they hate to do it because they love, it's you don't want to leave that community even though you know you should.
Yo.
So I mean, for him, it's the mental psychological piece because everything else says too, you need to just retire,
Oh yeah.
be done.
Because you got to think too. If he gets too many more concussions, it's going to start messing with his fine motor skills.
Well, I mean,
'Cause
Gay's like it already is. According to Gay, it already is.
I
From what
was going to
she's
say
seen,
you see that a lot in boxing, and you see it a bit in the UFC too. That these guys that have fought for a long time, it'll be real awkward when you're watching them try to grab a pen to sign something or something like that. That real fine stuff. Seems to me like that's what really starts to go.
who is it from the Oilers Hall of Famer? I mean, he's old too, but still, you look at his signature now, it looks like he's drunk. Like, was someone drunk signed that helmet? No, he's just. They say, oh, he's just old. No, he's probably got some CTE too.
Would
Um,
not shock me.
who is it? I'm trying to think. It's not Moon. It's Earl Campbell. Is it Earl Campbell?
Mm,
His signatures like all over the place. Hall of Fame '91. Some of these players, we look at their signatures like from when they started playing, and then their post playing games. Like you look at their signatures on helmets and that. It's just you could tell they've lost some. They've got a little bit of a shake, something else. You see it in these football players all the time. Um, as a doctor, would you want to sign off on to? That's it. That's the thing, though, Joe. I mean, look at as a doctor, would you want to write prescriptions for opioids even though you know they don't need it? Same question. It's the same question.
it all
And
just
there'll always be one.
yeah, it
There'll
all
always
just unfortunately aligns with their morals.
there'll always be one. If you provide the greenbacks, they'll sign off. Like Gates
Oh,
said,
okay.
these guys have enough money; they'll find a doctor.
Yeah, and JB brings up a good point that the NFL has a rule that Tua has to get two independent brain doctors to clear him. And
Right, but
then if he doesn't get the clearance from both, if he only gets it from one, the NFL can still say that he has to retire.
but here's the problem though: Tua's got enough financial resources, and the team has enough financial resources. They can find two independent doctors that will.
It, I could see him doing it, but if the team takes
Oh,
any part in that, oh my
well,
God, the backlash is going to be unreal,
either
especially
way,
with all the NFL's
well, the team has
zero.
more to lose for sure, but the team itself can do it via proxies where it doesn't tie back to the team. You know what I'm saying? There are ways. Come on, let's be honest. Like, oh, hey, Ken, I need you to find me two docs. I can't give you money, but hey, didn't we just comp you 3 years of season tickets? You know what I'm saying? There's ways. Kind of like back with the old days, back with boosters for college football, how these players somehow, some of them didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw out of, but all of a sudden are driving a Lexus. There are ways. Deep discounts, whatever. So I honestly think they should just like the NFL should have independent arbiters that were or that where look, you have to go to Andrews and you have to go to Mayo. And guess what? Your teams can have zero influence with them because they're NFL properties, so to speak. Their allegiance is to the league, not to a player or to a team. Their allegiance is to a league. Whereas going to find two independent doctors, allegiances could be shifted. But like, dude, I guarantee you, Andrews here would never shift because they make the league is not that the league is it is a cash cow for them, but not they can survive without the league because they're so good at what they do. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? It should be more like the NFL. If there's anything the NFL could do, because like she said, like the NFL is going above and beyond to be more proactive, like in this Tua type of situation, you will go to these two doctors, so that they can't try to influence these doctors via finances or whatever. Right now, Tua can go out and find any. if the rule is it just has to be 2 independent doctors, they can go find 2 independent doctors that are going to be friendly.
Well, Jay brings up that the NFL investigates those outside doctors to see if they have any affiliation or fandom to that team.
That doesn't matter. I mean, that matters, but it doesn't matter, right? I mean, look at Ken's a Packers fan, but if Ken was Tua goes to Ken and say, "Hey, can you clear me?" Oh, they don't mind that envelope on your desk.
What envelope?
Exactly. How's the NFL going to prove that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why I was.
But
That's why I was bringing
that's
up
like
that
the
Tua
baseline.
does it.
And look at what he's saying. What JB is saying. I mean, I get it. He's right, but that's not going to prevent Tua from finding doctors who are friendly to his cause.
All you need is one that has him on his fantasy team.
Yeah. I mean, and look at word of mouth in the league too. Like players talk. So if a player already knows of a friendly doc, a player friendly doc, if you will.
Now, what I wonder, does it have to be?
No, I got the point, JB. I get the point completely that he has to get those 2 clearances from these independent doctors. That's great. These independent doctors, though, aren't provided by the NFL. They just have to be 2 independent doctors.
Now, what I want to know is, do they have to be independent neurologists, or are they allowed to get cleared from a general practitioner?
No, they have to be neurologists, right? They have to be neurologists, and they have to be independent with no ties to the team or to the family. The NFL has the rules, but look if the rule is just that, Tua probably knows what doctors to go to because someone's already told them these guys are player friendly. We'll kind of sign off on it, right?
Oh, I guarantee there's that little black book with a list of doctors that are going to give you preferential treatment and take from that what you will.
Yeah, exactly. And they will be, air quote, independent neurologists. They will be independent neurologists, but they'll give him hey, yeah, you're good to go, because there'll be some kind of, something. I mean, so the NFL's rule is a CYOA for sure. It covers their ass. Well, we make them go to 2 independent, doctors, neurologists who have no affiliation to the team, blah blah. That's fine. That they don't. Okay, JB, you're digging too much in the weeds into what I'm saying. He can find a doctor in Austin. He could find one in Des Moines. That's player friendly to him. They don't have to be in Florida. He's got the resources. These players in the league have their little black book. That he will find. He can put it this way: if he wants to find a player-friendly neurologist who's going to sign off on him, he'll find it. What I'm saying, JB, where you're getting into the weeds in this, is the NFL needs to dictate. These are the independent neurologists you'll use. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's from a specific list of vetted guys, that makes the likelihood of that briefcase just being left at a desk a lot less likely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with your premise, JB, but what I'm saying is it doesn't matter. I mean, the NFL's rules of CYOA. Everything you're saying is, yes, on black and white is correct. They can't be from Florida. They can't have any affiliation to the Dolphins. They probably can't even be, in his case, from Hawaii, because there could be a family affiliation, right? They've got these rules of what they can't be. Great. That doesn't mean he can't find a player-friendly doctor in Des Moines or Beloit, Wisconsin, or Flint, Michigan, or Albuquerque, New Mexico, who's not going to be player-friendly, who he knows is going to give him the outcome he wants. So with the NFL, with the rule, it's a good rule. It's also a CYOA check the block. Because if anything happens, the NFL can say, well, Steve, look, we made him go to 2 independent neurologists. Here was the criteria that he had to meet. He met their criteria. Our hands, we've done our due diligence. We're good. Goodell is protected, right? So, okay, hold on. The comments, I hate how they tourniquet. I have to open up the
Yeah,
little
yeah,
box.
yeah. I bring them up on the side too.
Yeah. Let me see what the rest of this part of the words came off. But after those 2 clearances, he still has to pass the 2 protocol tests from the NFL and the team guy. But no test can be run until he's been removed from the IR. Okay, but still, the independent guys are the worry, right? I mean, are they vetted by the NFL though? I mean, the independent guys, the independent guys have to be vetted by the NFL? And even the ones who are vetted, I'm just saying, there's a list of here are the guys you don't want. Here are the guys who will be friendlier to you. You know, if he can choose which ones he goes to, you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's
Unfortunately,
circumventable.
like with most things in this world, there's loopholes in damn near
Yep,
everything.
it's
And if
circumventable.
somebody's shady enough, they'll find a way in.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Tua will find 2 docs. I'll give him what he wants out of that vetted list. He probably already knows which ones to go to because other players have said it, other people have said it. He already knows where to go. Guarantee, because it's like any list. You don't want to go with this guy because he's too strict. This guy's a little bit looser. This guy's yeah, they may have been vetted. You know, then you have to ask yourself how good is the NFL's vetting process. But the NFL, look at the NFL, from the NFL standpoint at least, they've checked the block. They're doing their due diligence. And if a player is going to find one of these guys, these vetted doctors, who is going to be a little more lean friendlier to him and give him what he wants, there's nothing the NFL can do about that. They've done their due diligence, right? I only think the only thing the NFL can do is maybe say, look, here's the 2 leading experts, and let's just for sake of argument, Andrews and Mayo Clinic. You will go here. These are the doctors who we employ as the NFL and are untouchable, right? Have like their own iron dome on them, whatever. And here's where you'll go. And if they clear you, you're clear. You know, and even that's not foolproof, but I think that might be a little more stringent than here's a list of 50 doctors. You can't have these 5 because they're in your state. These other 45 are good. Go. You see what I'm saying? He still has choice. Trust me, the players know. It's not like when you go to work, man. Like, you know, there's if you have multiple managers, you know there's the one manager you go to because they're going to be easier than another manager. This one's a stickler for that, not for this. That one's a stickler for that, not for the other. Play mom versus dad. Come on, man. Like, I mean, I get JB. Let's be real, brother. You know they're doing it, and you're sticking up for the NFL, and rightfully so. And I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying, but let's be honest. Tua, if he wants to play again, will find a friendly doctor in that list that will let him play again.
Man,
And you know what the problem is?
There's also another aspect of it too. If one of these doctors clear him and he goes out, gets massively injured, he might be able to go after their malpractice insurance.
You asked for my medical opinion. Keyword opinion.
And that's why malpractice is a thing.
And then it comes even worse because now if you put this doctor in a place where he's going to lose his license, oh, well, why don't you tell him about the $5 million you slipped me under the table?
Mm-hmm.
The dirty laundry comes out.
Oh yeah.
It's mad, mutually assured self-destruction, right? So,
well, it might be, you know, a massively shady that the player paid him off, but to be fair, the player also didn't take an oath to do no harm and to do what's best by the patient.
100% agree with you, but you know what though? You think that doctor is going to have a good life even if he loses his license? He's going to find something else. He has millions of dollars in the bank account. Yeah, he's fine.
It depends on how much that payoff is and how well established. But at the same time, a lot of these doctors, it's not so much about the money, it's the status that they have
Yeah.
within the community.
Yeah.
That you're not going to want to risk that and be
True.
just dropped right
But
down
then
to
there,
nothing.
but then there are some who just don't care.
But,
We saw that
oh,
with
absolutely.
we saw that with the opioid crisis, with all these doctors who were basically paid off to write scripts, and those guys they did it for the money, they didn't care, and they're still fat on the hog because of it, even though they can't practice them. They're like, whatever, I made my money, I can go do
Yep.
something else, or I can go into some other kind of thing where I don't need this, that, or the other. I just take a couple years off, and then I can just, yes, I'm rehabilitated, and they let me back in or whatever. I mean,
I was going to say a lot of times, well, not a lot, but there's a decent amount of, if a doctor loses their license, that it's 4 6 years, something like that, they can apply and get it back.
Yeah. But JB, it's you don't have to go deep around the conspiracy thing, because you're not going to find anything on that. That's just we already know. Yes, the doctors will be willing to risk the relationship. You're being naive, JB, to think that that there aren't doctors out there in this vetted list that aren't friendly, or some are friendlier to the players' wants, needs, and desires than others. It's just a fact.
Yes, Ken, but I do think that is a very small list of which ones that are going to be willing to do that.
Matter, he can still find it. That's what we're saying. Is he's going to know which doctor is going to be more favorable to him, and he's going to pick that doctor. And that's what we're saying. It's not necessarily conspiracy. That's just life. We know it. We see it in our everyday jobs and everyday life. How, like, you'll go to one person because they're going to give you the answer you want versus going to the other person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and don't mind us on this show. We each of us comes in our hats with a slight lining of tinfoil.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not a conspiracy theory, but that's the fact of life. That a list of 50 doctors, someone leaning towards what they personally need / want. I should say, let me clarify that. There's going to be a list of 50 doctors. There's going to be a couple, 1 or 2 or 3 on there, right? They're going to be lean more towards the player's want versus the player's need, so to speak, right? So, I mean, yeah.
What I would say is the part of that list, if it crosses over at all, obviously I'm guessing here, would probably be the same doctors that some of these players are going to say, hey, this doctor will write you X medication.
Yep.
And he'll let you through a lot easier with it.
Yeah.
I could see where the list would cross over.
Now, the only thing that JB, where I'll give you some credence on this is with Tua being such a high profile concussion situation, that even the guys who might be more likely to pass him or be like, oh, that's close enough, like, err on the side of the player versus the side of medicine, right? That's the doctor we're talking about now. The guy with the 50-50 call would be like, is more likely to side with the player. In this situation, I think it's going to be a lot harder for him to find it, because it is such a high profile thing. Whereas if you're Jaquan Brisker, it's a little bit easier. It's not as high profile as, it's you know what I'm saying? But Tua is so high profile right now, even some of those doctors might not want to touch it, but there may be one that's like, okay, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
It'll touch it. So, I mean,
Oh yeah, I'm expecting the list to be a few with the neurologist.
Yeah, I mean, JB, we're not saying there's hundreds of them, but we're saying I have a list of, let's say the NFL is a list of 50 or 100 doctors. Dude, there's a pecking order. The players know, from this guy's really stringent to this guy's a little looser to this guy will let you get away with murder. There is a list, a pecking order. It happens in any profession. There's always going to be that guy. I don't care what the profession is. There's always that guy. There is. I don't care if it's a cop. I don't care if it's a firefighter. I don't care if it's an EMT. I don't care if it's a member of the military. I don't care if it's a CEO. I don't care what profession. There's always that guy.
I will say, though, with neurologists, you're going to have a lot less likelihood of a chance, just because of how hard it is to become a neurologist. and how egocentric a lot of them are, that I'm not going to put my name on the line for you or whatever
But you
you're going to
also
give
maybe
me,
have a
because
guy
I'm going to make 3 times that this next week.
you also have a guy that's maybe closer to the end of his career, doesn't care about that anymore. Right? So I mean, okay, so does this mean there is no way he could get a valid test? So no matter what happens, it has to be that when the route. No, dude, it's oh my god. No, dude, it doesn't. It's just saying that look at he if there's a list of neurologists, he knows which ones are going to be more friendly towards what he wants. And if he has his choice, that's what he's going to choose to do. It's not to say he can't get a valid test. And the problem with Dua being so high profile, even the guys in that list may not want to touch him. He may be, toxic or
I
radioactive.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those neurologists are going to err on the side of caution because of how public Tua's concussions have been. That they're going to sit there and say, the whole nation has seen you get knocked out 5 times on the
That's what I'm
field.
saying. It's like
I'm not going to be the guy that says, "Oh yeah, you can get knocked out of 6."
in Tua's case, like he could be an outlier in the sense that he's so radioactive in this regard because he's such, and everyone saw what they saw. It's going to be hard for even that player lenient doctor to do it, but Tua will still go to that guy because he's more lenient than you are. You see what I'm saying? So, and in Tua's case, he may not be able to get away with it, but a lesser situation, let's say like Brisker or some of these other guys, Brisker, I say because he's on protocol right now, or if it's David Montgomery or one of these other guys, they'll go to the guy they know is more likely to clear them than the guy who other players like, man, this guy's tough.
See, now I wouldn't even say that it's more likely that he's to get a valid test. I think it's going to be skewed kind of a little bit on the err of the side of caution from a lot of them. You might have a select group that, oh, you're a player, so I'm just going to let you through. But man, it's going to be hard to get a 100% impartial test just because of the popularity of who he is. You would have to have somebody that does not give a shit about football in any way, shape, or form, and isn't even watching highlights or anything like that. In my opinion, at least, that's what it's going to take to get an impartial assessment of it.
Yeah, and Jay, to your point, that's how would we know? We wouldn't. I think in Tua's case, so it might be a little more because of what's happened with Tua over the last couple of years. I think with Tua it'd be more evident, where people would probably want to look at that doctor more. That's why he might be radioactive. Because you got to remember, okay, let's look at the test, right? Like with any test, there's the scientific piece where it's black and white. But then there's a part of it that's interpreted by the doctor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
The doctor's opinion. In my opinion, because whenever the doctors write it, it's never black and white. It's always in their opinion. So in the piece that he's looking for is a doctor who's going to be more lenient on their opinion towards their wants, right? So because there's an interpretive piece of that. So that he's looking for the doctor to say, well, in my opinion, he's good because of X, Y, Z. Versus the doctor whose opinion is going to be a little more stringent.
Yeah, that's where Tua has to hope that, because I'm going to assume they're going to do multiple MRIs and that's going to be a part of these tests, that there's nothing that physically shows on the MRI it is a dark spot on the brain or anything like that. Because at that point, I don't care who you go and see. That's going to be one of those, okay, dude, we can't pass you. There's no interpretation here. It's right here. You're messed up, man.
Now, look, could he find a doctor that's maybe near the end of the career and doesn't care about the prestige and all that stuff anymore, who's still, who's like, whatever, anything happens, I'm going to be gone anyways? Yeah, he could. I'm sure there might be one or two out there. It's possible. Is he? And it's going to be a little bit harder for Tua because of his profile right now. But if it's another player, like I said, like if it's like a David Montgomery or a Brisker or a Tank Dell or a CMC, who doesn't have this massive history where everyone saw him wobbling down the field on national television, it's going to be a lot easier for that doctor to kind of like, yeah, my opinion, he's okay. Whereas for Tua, he might be a little more stringent in his own internal criteria. Because remember, it's like there's a scale, but part of it, the criteria is based off the opinion that the doctor holds, right? Based off their years of experience, their education, blah 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 blah. Some doctors are going to look at something a little more stringently than others are. It's like going to a mechanic. One mechanic will tell you, well, you need to change your brake pad exactly at this. And another one says, no, you can probably go to this. You know, there's always that
there are some tests that you can fudge the numbers with, and then there's other tests that when they show X, Y, or Z, there's no dancing around it and saying, hey, this is my opinion. This is what it is.
We already know, Jay, though, you can't trust the team doctors because they let Tua play after he was stumbling down the field. That's why the NFL kind of changed stuff over the last 2 years, you know, and made it even more stringent. So, you know, we're talking more about the independents, but the independents are still, yeah, exactly. One of my tires are Brandon. Yeah, hey, those of you who are used to seeing JB, welcome to Connecticut Overtime. JB couldn't be on air, so we're covering down for him this morning. If you missed it earlier, we had Gay Valimont. She's running for congressional to be my congresswoman in my district. But she came on, just talk football. She loved it. We had a great conversation with her. Hopefully she'll be back on. And she is in sports medicine, and that's why we were talking to the topic we are today. And it was more than concussions. We talked about the Achilles injuries. We talked about CMC. We talked about Rogers. We talked about her Falcons and Kirko Chains and those injuries. But, you know, the Tua thing is really the big topic, right, with the concussions now.
What I want to know is when are we going to have to start worrying about this with Josh Allen? Because he's been knocked out at least twice that I can remember on the field. And I don't remember either time that they actually pulled him from the game other than a couple of snaps.
Yeah, I think the Tua, though, having to be placed, he's legit on IR for concussion. I wonder if that kicked in a different protocol than the normal protocol. And we should have asked that. Gabe might have known that. I'll try to remember to ask her, send her a message on X and ask her that for next week. But Tua is so high profile. Yeah, I think even the more lenient doctor on that list might not want to touch him.
That's kind of what I'm thinking about.
Or he will still be lenient, but not as lenient.
Yeah, to a degree, but these guys are going to kind of tout that, you know, I'm the one that sees NFL players and that, but you don't want to be the one that's got that freaking red check mark on your freaking record.
Here's what I'm talking about, though. I'm not saying it's like some egregious thing. It's like if there's, let's say, if you want to think like a scale, right? And if they're within this margin, and now you can't see me. There you go. If you're like in this margin, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're in that margin, you're clear. And let's say he's just barely in the margin of clear. There are going to be the more stringent docs, like, will go, in my opinion, even though he's in the clear, he's not good. There's those doctors, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's looking for the doctor that says, well, he's in the margin of good, he's good. Because then that doctor can say, well, look, my opinion was based off this. He was in the margin of clear, therefore I cleared him, and be okay. Whereas those are the doctors he's looking for at this point, right? He's not looking for the doctor that's like,
that's going to err on the side of caution for his health.
Right. He's looking at the doctor that's going to be like, hey, he's within the margin. He was within the margins, and he was within the margins of acceptability, right? In the test, he did pass. He was within the margin, therefore I cleared him. Versus the doctor say, yeah, he's in the margin of acceptability. However, that's a doctor he's trying to stay away from, right? He's looking for that doctor who's going to say, hey, you're barely in, but you're in. You're okay. You can go. Not the doctor said, well, you barely passed. I really don't think you should. And I'm going to say that. That's a doctor he doesn't want. I mean, he gets a ton of guaranteed money. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
Yep. To me,
Dude,
this
take
is a
125.
decision.
Yeah.
Like, I can either collect a bunch of money and continue to walk, or I can stay in, get a bit more money, and drool in my pudding every morning.
Like, honestly, if I'm Tua right now, I'm going to the most stringent doctor I can find who can say I have to medically retire so I can collect $125.7 million and right off in the sunset. And if I'm the Miami Dolphins in a way, I want him to do that too, because then I can clear that off my cap. Because it's a medical retirement, it all comes off, dead cap and all, leaves the books. They get all that money on their books again. They don't care about giving them the $125 million. They've got the money to spend. Like, that's not the problem for them.
One quick second, Ken.
Yeah.
Continue on what you're talking about. I got to take a bathroom break. I've been trying to hold out.
Oh, do it. But if you guys think about it, I mean, there's two sides to this coin, right? The one side, if Tua really, really wants to play, I'm saying he's going to find a doctor who you're barely within the margins of error, so to speak. I'm going to clear you, versus the doctor that's going to be like, you're barely within. I'm not going to clear, right? That's the difference that Tua's looking for. If I'm the team, though, I want him to get that doctor that says, yeah, technically you passed. However, I don't recommend you playing. You shouldn't play. You should retire. That's in the way the doctor Miami wants, because now they can clear the money off the books and go get a new quarterback and get right. Yeah, he was doing the pee-pee dance. It's crazy. I mean, JB's in the comments, but he couldn't be on today, so we're covering down for him because that's how we roll here. Besides, we just got to talk about how the Cowboys are going to beat you guys again. No, that's gonna be a fun thing. But it's just this whole Tua situation. Like, I just hope he finds two doctors. I hope the two doctors say you need to retire, and he just retires. Just retires. But he's not. He's going to be looking for the doctors who are friendly to him. We're going to clear him the place so he can run back on the field. And I still have goals. I want to win a champ. Whatever his internal brain is telling him that he needs to do. Take the money and go, dude. I mean, I don't get it, but he's going to find the doctor. He's going to choose the doctors that are going to be more friendly to his wants and needs versus the doctor that is going to say, no, you need to retire. And yeah, you need to screenshot that, JB, because Ken is claiming to be you now. So that's what I'm saying on this.
Enough of the screenshots, damn it.
I should have screenshot it, because it's not like we save screenshots around here at all, because we don't. We never save them around here, do we, Ken?
Always remember, payback's a bitch.
Yeah, that's why I don't make bets like that.
Believe me, you put your foot in your mouth more than enough times. It's all I need.
I don't make the bets, though. Yeah, you got to listen to Ken and Ken. I'm sorry, Brent. I'm sorry. So, anyways, I think we beat Tua like a dead horse. Now we just gotta wait and see what happens.
No, come on.
Well,
I'll beat a topic to death on this show. No way.
I mean, he's gonna have to. We'll see what happens. Find the doctor, but at the end of the day, he might be too radioactive even for those player-friendly doctors in the little black book the players have. But it brings an interesting point to that, and that's something that'd be nice to maybe dig deeper in sometime. It's and the thing is, it's a new concept. Let's be honest. I mean, it's a new concept for the NFL, at least, this whole thing. And those fans, we kind of like, oh, they must be playing flag football. Maybe they should be. Not a popular opinion, I get, but in a way, maybe they should be, right? And who knows, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, that could be where we're at because of certain types of injuries. I mean, so I don't blame the NFL for trying to minimize this because honestly, if they don't, it will become flag football because maybe it gets to a point where an outside agency steps in and says, "Hey, look, we're not going to allow you to do this anymore." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's a Ken and Ken in Boston. They're not as good as this Ken and Ken. We're out in New York and Florida.
Three Kens, two beats three.
Yeah.
At least these two.
Yeah. Yeah, the Ken and Ken show. Yeah. And if we really want another Ken, we'll just call JB's dad up and bring him in. Get the OG.
Yeah, we'll bring Smoking Dad on.
That's right. Yeah. Speaking of robots,
don't be surprised. Don't be surprised in the next 5-10 years if your general practitioner is some type of large language AI.
Did you see? Totally off topic, but did you see what Elon introduced yesterday? He introduced a couple things yesterday.
What, the robot?
The robot.
Uh-huh.
I was like, whoa, Skynet is here. Plus the autonomous taxi and the autonomous van, bus, and all the autonomous stuff.
I mean, those ones kind of make sense because we've already had technology like that for a little while now. And hey, you no longer need somebody directly behind the wheel. Cool. The robot one's going to give a lot of pause because of the whole uncanny valley phenomenon, that if something's real close to human but not quite, it's going to mess with you psychologically. That's what I can see coming with the robot stuff.
What was
Oh yeah, the robot's a real deal. They're not selling it yet.
No, they're not. But he's talking like the cost of 20-30 grand when they at some point more expensive at first because that's the way Tesla rolls. We always know that. But what's the name of the stupid robot? Orion? Is it Orion? That's it. I think it's Orion's the name of it.
I was gonna say it sounds familiar, but
I think it's Orion. But they had this robot pouring drinks, talking to people. I mean, it was like legit close. I would not be surprised though at some point. Yeah, you'll talk to your practitioner might be somewhat AI ridiculous. Yes, Jags and Bears 9:30 a.m. if you're on the East Coast, 8:30 in the morning if you're Central Standard Time Sunday at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium there. That robot, dude, Jay, it's go on X, man. There's posts about all that stuff he released yesterday. I thought at first it was a video game because Elon threw out this map. Well, the map ended up being the area where they were at, and the autonomous taxi cabs are driving people around. You get in this car, there's no steering wheel at all. And the car, you just give it to the destination. You can watch a movie, do whatever you want. And it took the robots out there dancing. They had them playing rock, paper, scissors with people, pouring drinks, having conversations with folks.
We've had robots playing chess against people for how long now?
No, yeah, but this is completely.
No, I'm just saying that this is the next evolution of that.
Like the one video, he came up to the bar and he said, "Hey, I'll take whatever the drink was." And the guy, and he's holding a conversation with the guy as he's pouring a drink. He's like, "Hey, can you give me the peace sign?" He gives him the peace sign. He goes, and then the AI robot goes, "Hey, I got another one." He throws up the horns and starts headbanging. Like,
hey, we got you anytime, buddy.
Yep.
I was going to say, you help us out a shit ton. We got no problem helping you.
And then the other guy's asking, well, where do you live? And he's like, well, I live here. You know, it makes sense. It's basically the fact. He's like, yeah, this is where they teach us how to do things and where else create. I was like, he was holding like a normal conversation. Like yeah, I mean, this new robot thing it's coming. And I would not be surprised, though, if it doesn't have applications for maybe something like what we're talking about today with, 2001 Space Odyssey, AI in the 60s. Yeah. Come on, Hal. It's crazy. I would not be surprised, though, if the NFL uses more AI type stuff like this when it comes to some of the medical, because, dude, there is no buying off an AI doctor.
And you got that right there, Brett. We all might beat the shit out of each other, but when it comes to the end of the day, we got each other's backs. Every other division in this league can kiss our number one ranked ass.
Yeah, only division in the league right now where everyone has a winning record at least 3-2, 3-3-2s, and a 5-0. So, and probably this week you'll have a bunch of 4-2s. So interesting. Yeah, I mean, dude, like I would not
Yeah,
be
I mean, Jay,
surprised.
that's okay. I smile a little bit every time the Vikings and Lions lose too. So
Yeah, same here.
yeah, it goes both ways. We're not going to fault you for that.
I would not be
Yeah,
surprised with the stuff Elon put out last night. You know, specifically more to the AI uh, autonomous robot. Dude, I could see his applications for it are basically everything. Be your friend, cook your dinner, take out your trash, do chores, pick up your kids from school, be a doctor.
I think we're going to see a lot of society change once AI gets more integrated. That a lot of these jobs that we thought were untouchable because of skill level or this or that, AI is going to be taking over a lot of it.
You know what? I would love the Tua situation is actually a great test bed. I'd love to see Tua go to the two independent doctors and then have him go to one of Elon's AI robots
Mm-hmm.
and see what the prognosis that AI robot would give Tua versus the doctors. I think that would be just so interesting. If not for nothing more from a scientific aspect to help with the AI, but also you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that would be I think that'd be something different that would be worth trying. And I wouldn't be surprised if Goodell isn't on the phone with Musk going, hey, what applications could you give us medically with this?
Goodell is already on the phone with Musk because Goodell was Musk's first robot. The NFL owners bought him years ago. Come on, don't you watch South
Well,
Park?
you know what though? I mean, Jay though, it's funny though. You talk about the brain chip. Musk is working on that technology to help people
Get Neuralink.
yeah, the Neuralink. I would not be surprised if maybe he doesn't talk to the NFL about that or the NFLPA with former players and a guy
I
like
can,
Favre.
okay, for Favre, I might be able to see the willingness to risk it, or somebody that's paralyzed. But if I'm fully healthy and you're going to tell me you're going to put a chip in my brain to monitor concussions X, Y, or Z, I'm going to tell you to get bent.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bishop was too. See, now that's more my type of sci-fi.
Yeah, I think. Oh, someone mentioned Jim McMahon earlier. Jim McMahon is because everyone's saying the light sensitivity. Oh, it had to be concussion. He was
Yeah,
light sensitive
his is a
prior.
double.
He
Yeah.
he got a fork in his eye as a child. That's why he always wore sunglasses.
Yeah.
Even
Well,
when he
the
was playing.
concussions definitely didn't make it any better.
It didn't make it any better, but he already had the condition
Yeah.
before with a concussion. So, but yeah, it's just interesting though. Yeah, I mean, dude, people will do shit to get ahead. And here's a funny thing, especially if you ask us older guys. I guess now I'm an older guy, which sometimes feels weird to say, but you get to a point in your life you realize that doesn't matter. Like honestly, like I don't have to make $300,000 a year to be happy, right? It comes down to you look at guys like that Lieutenant Dan, the guy in the boat in Tampa, the guy who lives on his little sailing boat, and he's happy. He doesn't need a 5,000 square foot house with a McLaren and a Mercedes Benz in it. He's happy with just the simple stuff, right? I mean, that's the irony of it. It's like you get to a certain point, and these players realize it too when they get older. Like that stuff they cared about didn't matter. It mattered at the time, but as you get older, it doesn't. Yeah, I know, right? Light sensitive in Arizona, probably not the best thing. It's nice to make that money, sure, but you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing I need to buy. Like, there's nothing. look, I don't make 300 grand a year, right? Being retired, I have nothing I need to buy. I don't care what kind of car I have per se. Gets me from point A to point B in the safe. I'm good. I don't have to have a Benz. I don't have to have a Beamer. I don't have to have a Lexus. I don't care, if it's a Dodge, a Ford, whatever. I really don't care. Does it get me where I need to go? Is it, am I comfortable? Great. I don't care how it looks per se. I mean, you get to a point in your life that shit doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah,
And the players,
as long as it looks halfway decent, is safe, and you can drive it without feeling like you lost your ass cheeks or your spine.
yeah. I mean, are you happy with what you have? And you learn at a point that you usually are, and that okay, it would be nice to take more vacations to more exotic places. Sure. But it's not. I'm just as happy. Kind of yes and no, Jay. I mean, I am. I'll never have to work again because of the military side of the house. But and don't get me wrong, I make decent enough flow. But I'm not rich by any means either. It covers my bills, though. I mean, I know I'm always gonna have a roof over my head and be able to put food on the table because of it. But do I need an AMG? No. Do I need? I mean, would I like a Tom Brady Speedflex? Sure. Do I have the $3,500 or $4,000 or $6,000 to spend on it? No. But I'm just as happy without it as I would be with it. That's what I'm talking about there. Like those aren't needs, they're wants. They're wants that once you get them, you don't even. I mean, you'll appreciate it, but it's still, what I'm saying? It's like, I do have a Tom Brady football, but yeah, that's besides. But I mean, we all want to have these little trinkets, but they're not. And AMG's nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I don't need to spend the money on it. I'll take my little G70 I've got. My Genesis, Genesis G70. Believe it or not, it was cheaper than my Dodge. So it is funny though. I mean, and to his case, reverting back, like, dude, you're gonna get 127 million, dude. You don't need to go chase a ring or chase a playoff victory. Take the money, enjoy life while you still have a life. You've now made generational money that's to take your family, if you manage your money right. You're set. You'll be able to take nice vacations. You'll be able to get your kids a good education. You'll be able to do. It's funny, like a guy like Brian Urlacher drove an old fucking Ford pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Gronk. Never spent a paycheck, an NFL paycheck.
Well, when you're getting all those kind of endorsements he was getting, you don't got to worry about.
He only spent endorsement, but he didn't buy a lot of flash either. Like, be like Gronk.
Well, that Gronk party bus was pretty flashy.
Even Gronk know that money not real. But you know what, though? Gronk is smart. Right? He was smart. So, I mean, dude, Tua, fucking retire, man. Take the money. Enjoy your life. I mean, go work in the booth for Fox or CBS or Amazon or something.
And Jay, if we knew why JB's texts were going off screen, we would have already fixed it. We're lost right now with that one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird on the screen because like it cuts off on his couple different words in the chat. I don't know if it's maybe because of where he's doing it from. It is weird. I don't know because I have to open up a chat bar on the side to see the full text on the screen that you guys see, which is what I normally read your comments off of. It doesn't do it, but for JB's, I'm always getting a part of or two of a word cut off, and I'm not sure. Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you what, Jay, and you know what's amazing with some of these contracts is like these guys, like Caleb Williams, they just showed this house he bought. Gorgeous home on the lakefront in Chicago. It's just him and his girlfriend. Does he need a square foot home? No, you don't. And look, though, his case is different. $25 million signing bonus. He's already been making $20+ million a year for a couple of years. he could probably stop playing today and afford that house and the upkeep and everything else for the rest of his life. Okay. But your average NFL player, right, who isn't Caleb Williams making, $25 million signing bonuses and $9 million a year as a rookie, or whatever he's making, something like that, and all the endorsement deals and everything else, they still trying to buy the same house. Like, dude, just get you a normal house in the suburbs, man. Get you your $400,000, $500,000 home like everyone else does. Maybe $1 million home, depending where you live. You don't need to buy the 4,000. I'm talking like the 2,000 to 4,000 square foot range. It's just you. You know what they showed? What's his name? Simone Biles' husband. His house in Chicago. It's like a normal house in the suburbs.
Owens'
house is a regular house in the burbs that him and Simone are living in Chicago.
Well, I was gonna say
they've got a big house they've built in Texas, right?
Yeah, it's not like he's making a shit ton of money, but she's
making the money.
That's what I'm saying.
They've got a big custom home they've built in Texas, but his house in Chicago is modest. Bo Jackson's house in Chicago is modest. It's just in the suburbs. It's in a nice area, but it's not like this big, massive. It's just a nice, 3,000, 4,000 square foot home, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need these big mansions. That's the problem. These guys spend all this money on cars and real estate and then clubs, restaurants, and that's why they're all broke. Tua, though, you got $127 million coming to you, man. Just retire. Go get you a nice little place in Hawaii if that's where you're going to relocate with your family and go back to Hawaii. Or in Florida, get you a nice little place there.
And hey, thanks, Jay, for coming on and commenting with us. We won't hold you being a Lions fan against you. You're welcome on anytime, buddy.
Yep. I mean, it could be because of maybe it's because of Jeremy's way, how long his name.
Yeah, that's what JB just said.
That's what it is. It's because of JB's name being so long, it even goes off the screen. And that's what it is, because I think when he puts his name in, it doesn't. Yeah, JB, that's a problem, JB.
Yeah, JB.
Your name is too long.
You really said that.
Yeah, his name is too long.
We'll see you there, Jay.
Yeah, have a good one, Jay. Yeah, we're about out of here. You've had the extended edition. Thank you to Gay for coming on today. It was awesome to have her get some good insight. JB will be back with you Monday, of course, after us and his other shows. I can't remember all his time slots. He doesn't have anything on the weekend. For the Bears fans, there will not be pregame at 11 on Sunday because, we play at 8:30 in the morning. So we'll be watching the game. Tomorrow, open mic night.
Tonight, there's the Frozen Tundra show.
Frozen Tundra night. Red Zone Rant will probably go on during the Bears game. Don't expect any Bears fans to be on. In fact, they can go for 2 hours if they want. I don't think we're going to hop on during the Bears game. So if you guys want to go for 2 hours and take the pregame, you can do that. So there you get a 2-hour Red Zone Rant. On Sunday, Ken and I will be back with Rob, who hopefully wins his light contract. On Monday, for Ken and Ken, everyone enjoy the football this weekend. Great conversation today for the long, extended 2-hour show. Enjoy the games, man. What was that? Sushi's
burning anyway. I'll give it to you. That was a good one there, Joseph. And we don't give up for this, but you get a thumbs up.
on Joseph's last terrible take about his sushi burning, we're going to say have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for joining. See you soon.
Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Red Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Hallis Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports. Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett, 313 Den Podcast.